It's been 1 week since 10 inmates made a bold escape from jail in New Orleans. 1 week since we saw this photo that went viral, and a lot has happened since then. I'm Devin Bartolotta with WWL Louisiana. This is part one. We're going to go through a detailed timeline day by day of every major event surrounding the Orleans Justice Center escape. Day one, Friday, May 16th. Just after midnight, inmates started pulling on the door to his cell. No staff members were in the pod at this time, and a civilian monitor hired to watch the cameras had stepped away to go eat. Now, the sheriff's office knew these doors could be manipulated off the tracks, and inmates succeeded. They got into a cell where the water had apparently been turned off. Someone, either inside that cell or maybe out, sawed through rebar, bolts, and a pipe to make a hole. Here is the moment of freedom. You can see the inmates running out of a door around 1 o'clock in the morning. They had blankets with them that authorities say they used to not get cut by razor wire as they climbed a fence. And then they all ran across the interstate in front of cars. The hours that followed this would be crucial, but it apparently went totally unnoticed. Through a 6:30 a.m. shift change, not even realized until after 8:30 a.m. during morning head count. At some point, staff discovered the hole in the cell wall with "Too easy, LOL" written above it. At 8:53, the jail was put on lockdown. 9:30, feds were notified. 10:30, NOPD notified. 10:50, Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office sent out a press release about the escape. Around 11:30 a.m., Troop NOLA, Louisiana State Police, took Kendall Miles into custody. He was apparently in the French Quarter and was arrested on Royal Street. That's around the same time that Sheriff Susan Hudson held her first news conference.
Top priority right now is the safety of the public.
The finger pointing started immediately. Sheriff Susan Hudson blamed funding troubles. The district attorney, Jason Williams, blamed her poor leadership. And everyone pretty much was furious about the communications breakdowns and other issues that led to an 8-hour head start before law enforcement was even notified about this escape. In reality, the escapees enjoyed 12 and a half hours of anonymity before their mugshots were sent out around 1:30 p.m. Finally, at 2:30 p.m., NOLA already sent out an alert, just as the sheriff implied for the first time this might be an inside job.
We think this was intentional. There is much more than meets the eye.
Next, we learned that 3 jail employees had been suspended. At 7:30, a Crime Stoppers tip led law enforcement to escapee Robert Moody in Central City, and later that night, Dakeenan Dennis was caught in New Orleans East. Day 2, Saturday, we saw pictures of Miles, Moody, and Dennis being loaded into a helicopter to go to the Louisiana State Penitentiary. But 7 inmates were still on the run. This was terrifying for witnesses, victims, and families of victims. At least one of them went into hiding immediately after they heard about the escape. Also Saturday, we heard from Mayor Cantrell for the first time on Instagram. We saw a scene happening in New Orleans East, although it did not result in the arrest of an inmate, and the reward increased to $12,000 per inmate. Day 3, Sunday, there were no inmates arrested, but there were politics. First, we saw a new video from Project NOLA on the morning of the escape with Kendall Miles walking in the French Quarter along with a second man. The FBI and Governor Jeff Landry also held a press conference Sunday.
Turn yourself in.
Landry blamed District Attorney Jason Williams and criminal court judges in New Orleans and announced an audit and several investigations into the jail. Sunday, the reward increased to $20,000 per inmate for information. And the next day, the DA, Jason Williams, would come back at the governor with receipts. Go to part 2 or check out our reporting on WWLTV.com and on WWL+.